play guard at either spot, left or right side. And I think the center position is an issue, man. I mean, it's not an issue yet, but I'm telling everybody, man, you have to get your offensive line, inside of the trenches, the guard position, center position. You got to get that stabilized. I mean, I get, we're not that we pushing Frank out the door, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not the case, but you do want to kind of get his understudy in here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if it's another year. Remember what I think what Cam Jurgens, what they did with Jason Kelsey. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Kelsey told the organization, say, hey, I literally got my body, I got 2 years left, basically. You know what I'm saying? Start getting another understudy so, I could work with him or whatever like that. So I just think we need to go that route. You know what I'm saying? To kind of get a solidified, a real center. Well, not just a guy you taking in the 7th round of fly. Not that he can't beat a guy, but you know what I mean? Just be serious about it. Like, okay, this is gonna be understudy. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Frank is veteran where he not going to get upset by it. You know what I'm saying? Like some players get an attitude and pout if you take another player at their position. You know what I'm saying? But, Frank is a constant profession. So I just want our offensive line to be strong, man, because that's the lifeblood of this team right now, where it's constructed with our running game, with Dave Montgomery, Gibbs, you know what I'm saying? Jared Goff at quarterback. So, you want to be able to have that offensive line stabilized, man. Where there's no unknowns out there. It's pretty tight. So,
no, I agree 100%. The jury's still out on Giovanni Manu. They have very, very high expectations for him, very high
yeah,
hopes for him. But ultimately, that's still somebody we don't know really a damn thing about, for
yeah,
that matter. Christian Mahogany,
yeah.
you and I had big expectations for him coming out of Boston College.
What's up, fellas? What's
His
up?
homeboy Ozzy, we just talked about Ozzy Trapula. Trapula, matter of fact, isn't it? Ozzy
Ozzy,
Trapula?
yeah,
Yeah.
Trapilo,
Yeah,
Ozzy
Ozzy
Trapilo.
Trapilo, who actually
Yeah,
played with Christian Mahogany for the last few years at Boston College. But like I said, Christian Mahogany came on down the stretch once he finally got healthy. He showed us some things. Did he still have some rookie ups and downs? Sure he
mm-hmm.
did, but right now it's all on the up and up. I think people are feeling pretty positive towards Christian Mahogany heading into the offseason, getting ready for next season. Kobe Sourcedahl is a guy right now that we don't know about. We don't know if he's a starter. You and I both in agreement. We don't believe he's a starter at this level. Now the question is he at least at best a rotational guy that can give you some versatility, some guy that can be solid at one of the 5 positions? You can't be a jack of all trades, but not even be solid at any of them. I think some of the issues he had in college, I don't think it's him as a player. I think they're just physical limitations. And sometimes you can be a fighter, a scrapper, all you want as a guard, as a center. Talent overrules at the end of the day. And that talent can come from a small FBS school, it can come from anywhere. But I think for him it's more so of a talent issue. Maybe he's kind of hit his wall for that most part at the next level here in the NFL. But Graham Glasgow, you're talking about a guy who's been the constant overachiever in his career ever since Michigan. He's getting up in age. Kevin Zeitler's 35. Zeitler played pretty well this season, but at the end of the day, like I said, he's still 35 years old. So, and then of course, Coyote Awasika, another guy who not a starter, truthfully not a rotational guy. I don't know what they just did. what did they just do to the screen, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I had you on mute, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I thought you did that. I thought you was
I
doing.
ain't do this. What the
I
hell
thought.
StreamYard done did to us, man?
Yeah. Big bank take little bank.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
don't look right. I don't know what they just did.
Oh, somebody
And
else
now
coming
they didn't put
on.
a third one up here. I don't know what's going on right now, man.
Yeah, it's getting ready to be an AI person.
Oh man, they done boxed us out.
Yeah.
Oh man. I don't know what they doing on here, man. What the hell's going on?
Yeah. You know what though?
Yeah,
that
we can
is
keep talking through it while I figure this out.
yeah, that is a tight hat though. I agree with Ralph. I told him that Ralph as soon as he came on the pre-show. I was like, man, that hat is super hard, boy. That's a bad boy right there. But yeah, I mean, I don't want. I mean, I think just like I'm talking about the offensive line, I think it's more important to get the D line straightened out too. You know what I'm saying? I do think that. Well, I think before you start drafting any other positions on this team, I think that you know the fact of the matter. What's the reason why? Like we were saying that they wouldn't beat the Eagles, right? What was the biggest reason? We didn't think that they would be physical enough up front, you know what I'm saying, on defense, going against the Eagles offensive line. I mean, you have to really
Back to it.
I mean, you really have to beef up that D line, man, in the middle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, well, get some serious be serious though. I mean, not don't give me a 1 year you know what I'm saying? Don't give me a 1 year deal for a guy who, on his third team or you know what I'm saying, and battling injuries his whole career. We know injuries happen, but man, that's why I was so, I think Makai Wingo, we didn't realize how decent. He was above average to me. So if you can tell me that Makai Wingo is going to come back stronger, which I believe he will, and draft another guy, not just no, and like I said, no disrespect to Kaminsky or anything like that. I just think that they need some real players, man. You know what I'm saying? Some real. I love what Philly did the last 2 years, and it was much maligned. Jordan Davis. They took Jordan Davis, who was great in the combine. And I think he solidified his spot when he got drafted. I believe that because there was a lot of question marks coming out of Georgia. And then, what's the other? I can't think of his name. Well, the other guy,
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. I couldn't think of that for nothing. Yeah, so Jalen Carter, I mean, those two guys are a force, man. And that's why they got a real chance to win the Super Bowl. They really do because of those two guys, man. You know what I'm saying? So I want our line to be that potent. And I think, who was kind of emulated that was the Rams. I mean, getting Braden Fisk last year, remember? And Jared Verse, you know what I'm saying? And I think that that's key because if the Lions want to stay contenders, stay on top of the NFC, you definitely have to, get man, you gotta really draft those spots and hit, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of tired of the players that's hurt all the time. I'm getting tired of that, man. I want somebody who can play, man, who could be counted upon. Where when week 10 comes up or week 9 comes up, we're not like, damn, we don't have nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because we haven't drafted that spot. We got 1 year stopgaps. You know what I'm saying? The guys, everybody hurt, and then the guys we turn to are 1 year stopgaps. You know what I'm saying? I want some young, strong talent up there, man, to really be able to put the pressure on the other team. You know what I'm saying? So
Definitely. So like I said, it's the offensive line. They've gotten by with some solid veterans the last few years for the most part. Frank Ragnow, he was a holdover from the previous regime. Great one. That was one of the great picks they actually made. So was Taylor Decker.
yeah,
Even though Taylor isn't really great, you know what I'm saying? He's not elite, but Taylor's a good left tackle.
yeah,
Taylor's a
yeah,
good
of
left
course.
tackle in this league. That's kind of like Father Time is starting to touch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're in a situation where not because of lack of talent, of underproduction, this has been a very good offensive line since they took over.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they took over, when they got here, this regime got here, they turned the offensive line around, and they've been pretty good. They unlocked the running game. The pass protection has been better than it's ever been under this regime, and Jared Goff has thrived. So now you want to make sure over the next 5 years moving forward,
Yeah,
we get a whole lot of the same. Whether Goff is under center or it's Hendon Hooker or ultimately winds up being someone else, because at the end of the day in the NFL stands for not for long. Just as much as everybody may love you today, next season they may feel completely
Right.
different about you. Remember how everybody was in love with CJ Stroud last year, and
Mm-hmm.
Stroud didn't play as well, of course, this season as he did last season, but he still played well. He played well enough considering the situation with most of his perimeter guys being injured, the issue with Tank Dell, Nico Collins being in and out of the lineup. Stephon Diggs suffered a season-ending ACL injury. The offensive line was bad all season. But those elite quarterbacks, borderline elite, the young guys that you expect to be elite, they still manage to get you there. And you can say, well, Houston played in a bad division or whatever, but they still got there. And they managed to win a game again. So now you're looking at CJ Stroud, 2 years in the league. He's got 2 playoff wins already under his belt. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you want to keep the offensive line thriving because that's what keeps Jared Goff thriving, regardless how long you plan on keeping him here. And, we touched on a few players last draft, not last draft, but last show. And we're going to get
Yeah.
back into some more today. We're going to start out with one of your favorite guys, one of
Yeah.
mine also.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lukewarm on Jonah for a couple of
Yeah.
obvious reasons.
Yeah. Rightfully
But
so. Yep.
he's a guy that started this season. Actually, before the college football season began, he started pretty much as a unanimous top 20 pick, top 30, all decided, well, all based upon what publication you looked at and checked out.
Yeah.
But few things for certain, man. You look at the 6'5", 336. We talked about Cam Williams of Texas, the last show.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Cam Williams, height-wise, weight-wise. Now, we don't know what these guys are going to weigh in, measure in height-wise, come NFL Combine, Pro Days, all of that. But as of right now, 6'5", 336, both guys are north of 30 easy, north of 330 easy. Now, neither guy, and we talked about the new prototypical size of the oversized offensive lineman. Back in the day, 6'5", 330 for offensive tackle looked very out of shape. Spare tire around the middle, flabby
Mm-hmm.
arms, whatever, no
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah.
These guys are specimens today.
Oh man.
Now,
Right.
he doesn't move nearly as well as Cam Williams does, but I think he moves well enough. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't believe he can play right tackle at the next level. I got on there, is he an NFL caliber athlete at tackle? Because it
Mm-hmm.
is a legitimate question because he is kind of
Yeah.
heavy footed. He's 6'5", 335 pounds.
Yeah.
So, like I said, he is kind of heavy footed, getting back into his pass sets. He kind of shuffles. He chops his feet a lot, which is something else I don't really like, but he
Yeah.
is kind of nimble for his size and all. But what do you think tackle wise? Because I think the obvious transition would be the right guard.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feel like he's athletic enough or an NFL caliber athlete to play right or left tackle, the stereotypical thing to do would be shove him over there at right guard and anchor the run game behind him. So what are your
Mhm.
thoughts?
I think he could be a right tackle. You know what I'm saying? Not so much as take on the, top pass rusher
Number
on the
one edge
opposing team.
rusher.
Yeah, I think he can play right tackle. You know what I'm saying? Definitely guard. I mean, that's a given. But yeah, he can play right tackle, Walt, in my opinion. Totally agree. With the hand strength, he's strong as hell. And I think that makes up the difference from some of the lack of like not being polished, and we see that a lot with offensive linemen. I've at least since you got me scouting the last couple of years, man, I've been noticing that like a lot of these guys are not polished. You like footwork wise, and but his strength and his quickness makes up for it. Like if don't have his foot together right, then he can make up for it because he can still force a guy to go a certain way with leverage. I think I wrote down some notes, Walt. He needs better leverage, man. He does, because that's why I don't think he's a left tackle, because to be a left tackle, you got to be upright, man. You cannot be messing around on that side on your court. You protect your quarterback's $1 million side, so you can't be flat-footed or, behind a half a second or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Which it could be coached. That's why I said right tackle more so than left tackle. I don't think he's a left tackle, but I do think, man, I really like him a lot. I got high ceiling. That was the first thing I wrote. I mean, he's got all intangibles to be able to turn him into, I was trying to think of a comparison. I think he might be big. What's the kid that drafted by the Saints?
Talise Fuaga.
Fuaga. Is that
Yeah.
a good comparison or no? Or maybe
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. I think Talise Fuaga coming out of Oregon State was a little bit better in the run
Yeah.
game. He had a little bit more
polished.
range, and that was kind of a concern for me with Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at him, he's kind of limited in the run game. Now, power zone, not so much power zone, but can you plug him over there at right tackle and get away with it? I think you can.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can. Same thing with right guard. Now, versatility wise, if you look at what the Detroit Lions do with Penei Sewell at right tackle, athleticism wise, being able to get him out in space and anchor and pull behind him, I don't think you can really do that with Jonah. Jonah's not really that caliber of an athlete. If you're talking about getting him out in space, he looks really stiff. He doesn't look like a fish out of water, like some tackles look when you put them in space. But it's obvious that, he has his athleticism limitations when it comes to getting guys out there that can do that type of work. But I do say, he has an elite combination of size, balance, and hand strength. Natural anchor.
Yeah.
Everybody isn't going to get the best anchor. It's not all, well, typically it is low man wins. But the thing is with him, the arm lift, the hand quickness, the hand placement, and when he locks on, it's a problem. Guys don't get away from him at all. And, you can't really say that about a couple other guys that we're going to talk about tonight. But, like I said, I think least worst case scenario, he's your right tackle. And you're kind of limited in what you can do with him as far as pulling wise and scheme wise, zone scheme wise. But I still think he's a hell of a player. Came out a year early. He's got a ton of experience. Like I said, he's played at right tackle, left tackle, as well as right guard. And then, he did. Too. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it also, 2024, he surrendered 4 sacks, 2 hits, 9 hurries. He does have an unusually high hurry rate given up.
Yeah.
And I think the explanation for that is speed rushers give him some problems sometimes.
Yeah, that's the leverage, man. That's the leverage. I think his leverage is not, you know what I'm saying, Wall? He is almost like he get flat-footed or maybe turn the wrong way.
He's a heavy boy. He's a heavy boy, and it's tougher for him to get into his pass sets quicker.
Yeah.
Because he played 2 less games. He played in 11 games this season. Yeah. He played in 13 last season. I believe was it 14 or 15 the year before. Yeah. And his hurry rate went up every year. And he was on pace to have just as many hurries surrendered 2 years ago as he did. So I don't think he's this plodding right tackle some people are trying to paint him to be right now. I think he's a better athlete than that. Shockingly, I think he's going to stun a lot of people. And I do believe he's going to be a right tackle at the next level because we have seen some of those oversized right tackles have some sort of success in this league currently right now. It's all to pay based upon what type of scheme you play in. Are you pass protecting 85% of the game, or are you run blocking 85% of the game? A lot of that has to do with how we view these tackles, moving down the road as well. So any final thoughts on Jonah?
Yeah, Savaiinaea. Yeah.
See, there you go. You got the name right there.
Yeah, Savaiinaea. Hey, but
no, you ain't say that fluid.
No, I ain't say it right.
You ain't say it like Afiatu Melifonwu.
Yeah. Savaiinaea. It's a 3-syllable. It's Savaiinaea. It's Savaiinaea. So yeah, but everything you just said, man, I like the kid too. I think absolutely worth a high second, third round pick. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. I believe he'll be drafted in that area, 3rd, 4th round, depending on maybe not even 4th. I think he's good enough
I think
Um,
he'll be a second
yeah, he's good enough to
because worst
be.
case scenario, he's a guard.
Yeah, and you know, in this current NFL, man, you cannot get listen to this. You put him just switch it if you want to put him for Glasgow. Let's just say if you're going to put him in there for Glasgow or uh obviously Kristen Mahogany, but I'm just gonna say, let's say if you put him in there for Glasgow, he would automatically make our offensive line better. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the player he is at guard. He's everything that you would want, like especially in a run game. I think he can be coached up with, Hank Fraley. You know how that's gonna go, you know what I'm saying, coaching wise. So yeah, man. I think I would love if the Lions was to, take a flyer on this kid. So yeah,
Definitely, definitely.
unbelievable.
And then you're talking about youth.
Hmm.
He's a hell of a lot younger than Glasgow, a lot bigger,
Yeah,
more athletic. It fits into that infusion of youth that
yeah,
I think we need on the interior of the offensive line. And I don't want Glasgow or Zeitler fans out there in Detroit Lions Nation to get bent all out of shape. It's the
yeah,
offensive line, 5 guys play, and then you got backups. So you can't get offended because someone brought up drafted somebody at the position of the player that you love so much. Like you
yeah,
have to continuously build depth and get better for the future. And a guy like him wouldn't mind it at all. Now, and we're still super early in the draft process. We don't have any workouts, pro days, combine.
okay.
Bad news breaking about players. Coach don't like this guy. This guy hit somebody in the locker room.
Yeah,
all the all the stories got to come out. But as of right now, Jonah has a really good reputation with the league right now. He's been on NFL radars the last couple years. He was another Army All American coming out of high school. So the NFL keeps tabs on these guys for a very long time. Another good thing is he never let his weight go. And that was a concern for him coming out of high school. They thought that maybe he would put on too much weight. Maybe he would outgrow the position, a guy that may be moving to the defensive side of the ball. That never happened at all. And Jonah is a pure offensive lineman for sure. So, all right, man, let's get to the next guy. One of my favorite tackles in his class, and he's slowly
yeah,
becoming a top 6 tackle in his class. And I think by the time it's all said and done, he may be one of the top 4 tackles taken overall.
yeah.
And that's Chase Lundt of UConn. If you go back to the 2023 film against Tennessee, he dominated.
Hmm.
And that's the key thing I like to see for like smaller schools, even though this is a mainstream school somewhat now, at least name wise. Basketball wise, they're still a basketball school, but UConn, they've been putting some guys in the NFL as of late. So what I like to see from smaller school offensive tackles is how do you handle the big boys, the SECs, the Big Tens of the world, the Pac-12s, those colleges, and
Yep.
those caliber of edge rushers. Tennessee threw 4 or 5 different types of edge rushers at him last season. He dominated everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
Dominated. Dominated. He's got a mean streak. He plays through the ground. And what I mean by playing through the ground is he doesn't stop until his guy is through the ground. He's a
Yeah.
play finisher. He's very clean fundamentally. You can tell he's very, very, very well taught. He always keeps his hands inside the pads, rarely gets called for a penalty. That's all part of it. The technique, and like I said, technique wise and pass pro, he's very, very clean. Athlete in space, he's elite when you get him out there pulling. Completely different for what we just talked about with Jonah. This
Yeah.
guy is a legitimate athlete, and you would expect that. I mean, he's 2 inches taller, 2, 3 inches taller.
Yeah.
And then you look at the weight difference. Talking about a guy who's 35, 36 pounds lighter, so you expect him to move a whole lot better. Then, of course, like I said, he has a very high IQ when it comes to processing twists and stunts. You can see all of this stuff on film. And then the film in 2024, I believe, was very elite from him. You can question the competition all you want, but at the end of the day, how are the pass sets? How's the run blocking? How's the fluidity in pass pro? And how do you handle stunts? And how do you handle twists? He
Mhm.
handles all of those things very well. And if you look at the frame, he's not a basketball player. He's not skinny at all at that 6'8". He's got the type of thick overall big body frame where he can get to probably, I would say, 315, which is where I would want to have him at the next level, between 315 to 320. I think
Yeah,
6'8", 320 would be perfect for him.
yeah. Well, I love this guy, man. Chase Lund. I mean, you brought this guy to my attention, and I think out of the four guys we doing tonight, he's the best of the bunch, man. You know what I'm saying? This guy is like jumped off the page. The athleticism, man, the mean streak. I mean, I think he's a slender 308 pounds. Well, I think he's like, one of them guys where he don't look like a slob. You know what I'm saying? He is a guy who's slender enough to be able to stand upright if you got a tall pass rusher, to get his hands, like you said, and just drive a guy backwards. You know what I'm saying? He get good leverage. He was lethal, super lethal in the running game. He was pulling a lot. They had him blocking up the field, 5-10 yards up the field. I like that. I like that in my offensive linemen when they want to get up the field. Um, Listen, he forces the issue too. I think, like you were saying with Jonah, I think this guy, same thing, man. He gets an arm on you, gets a paw on you. You know, his pad level is great. I think he would he win every time. I didn't see. Obviously, I didn't watch a lot of UConn football. I ain't gonna sit here and try to act like I did. But what I'm saying is, this guy, man, if you just look at him individually and look at the matchups and look at the players, that he went up against, well, he won every time. I didn't see him like backwards, like you said. That was
Dude, he
real.
won against Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, he,
Like everybody, he won constantly.
yeah, everybody who's coached this kid has coached him right, man. You know what I'm saying? And you can tell he's sound fundamentally, man. I'm glad you put that up there too. So this guy right here, he could be borderline first round pick late in the first. Lions could get this kid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think he would be there. Obviously late 20s, in the 30s, 40s. But like you say, he could be the third tackle off the board. Offensive lineman off the board. Fourth offensive lineman off the board. I like everything about him, man. He didn't have no weaknesses. I haven't said that in a while about offensive linemen. You know what I'm saying? Coming out, better than anybody I seen last year. Just initially, just we getting into the draft process now. But right now, Chase Lund's one of my favorites, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like I fell in love with Jackson Power Johnson last year, Zach Frazier. Some guys that I like right off the bat. Chase Lund right now is in that one of those spots for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sound, technically, and I think he could probably play the league. You think he quick enough? Well, I think he showed he quick enough pulling, but I don't know if he played left tackle as much. It looked like he was on the right side every time I
No,
seen him.
he's been a right tackle his whole career.
Yeah,
At least at UConn. I don't know about high school, but they got a pretty dominant left tackle too, man. I believe that's coming out next year. So UConn got some guys going on over there that they got it going. But I think just to, because nobody's perfect. So just to point out a couple areas, I will say this. He's not really a grinder. He played in a zone scheme, a zone heavy scheme, really protecting the mobile quarterback, which is good
hmm,
because in this day and age, with the apparent obvious move the NFL has went towards mobile quarterbacks, you need more athletic, mobile offensive tackles that
yes,
can get out
yeah,
in space and protect. Guys that can protect a little bit longer because when you're protecting for a mobile quarterback, you don't know what he's going to do most of the time. You don't know where he's at. So sometimes with a mobile quarterback, you would think it would be easier because he can run, but sometimes you wind up having to protect longer because he's keeping plays alive longer. So I think,
yeah,
the fact that he's not really I'm not going to say he's not a grinder. He just didn't have to really play in that type of scheme at UConn. But we seen him get out in space, lock in, and move guys, get to the second level. But once again, height wise, same thing with everybody else. Once you start talking about tackles that are 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", height, ability to play low, could have
uh-huh.
major issues against smaller, more powerful defensive ends. Will he be able to consistently maintain leverage at the next level? So I don't have a whole lot of issues with him. overall as the offensive tackle. I think he's a guy that's naturally a tackle. I don't think he's a guard at all. I think he's too
No,
tall to play guard.
right,
I don't think he
right,
has the body type to play guard. I think
yeah.
he's built to be an athletic left tackle or right tackle.
Boy, that'd be nice.
Right
Yeah,
tackle now, is he powerful enough in the run game? That's the only question. I don't
you
question
imagine.
it myself, but I can understand where some of the questions may raise up.
Yeah, man, you imagine in a world where in Lions Land we would have Penny Sewell at left tackle. You put this kid on the right side. Put
That's why I was going
Christian,
to ask you too.
yeah, put Kristen Mahogany next to him, and then you could have, we just say like Frank Ragnow play center, and then pick a guy at guard. You say Manu, or anybody. You could maybe afford to have a Manu in there on the left side at guard if you're going to put Penny Sewell next to him. Have Frank Ragnow, Mahogany, and Charles Lundt. That would be formidable, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and this is the kind of guy that you need, man. This is the only thing the Lions got to get up to speed with the offensive lineman, not just a turnstile, man, not like like a beach ball. You know what I'm saying? Just like a big lug out there. You need somebody who can bend, man, and kind of like seal that edge off even more. That's going to benefit everybody if you able to just when you got a guy coming off the edge and he's 6'5" with long arms, a la what's the guy was giving us uh Minnesota. They had Grenard coming off the edge.
Yeah.
What's the guy with the Texans that played in Minnesota? He same thing.
Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, Daniil Hunter. And then it's just guys when they come off the edge, you want somebody athletic. I think Chase Lundt is going to be fantastic, man. Whoever
Yeah.
picks him.
May sound crazy. I'm not really a big comparison guy anymore. I'd have had comparisons. I'd have had comparisons come back to bite me in the ass before, but he reminds me a lot of Joe Thomas. And it's kind of made, lofty, what do you call it, man? Expectations put on him. But that's just what I see, man. That's what I see. You're not the greatest Joe Thomas wasn't the greatest athlete. He was a good enough athlete, though, but Joe was just excessively technically sound.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is taller than Joe Thomas, a better natural, pure athlete, I think, than Joe Thomas at the tackle position. But he's still, and then you mentioned it, I think he's very, very well coached. You can tell.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when it comes to the hand placement, the lockouts, the turn. He knows exactly how to use angles to create blocks. To create lanes for his running backs.
Yeah.
I think he's a damn good tackle prospect. Damn good.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Let's move on to your next guy. I'm not as high on Josh. I think he worked out with the guards, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday.
Okay.
At the Senior Bowl. Now, maybe the reason I view Josh Conerly the way I view him is because of the expectations a lot of people put on him last offseason, as far as him potentially being a top 10 pick. Explosive, physical at the point of attack in his pass pro. I think he's very good with that. He's good at meeting guys at the point of attack. That's something I brought up in the last video. I'm really big on offensive tackles not catching, not absorbing pass rushers, but meeting them at the point of attack. Excellent foot quickness and athleticism. When he gets out in space, he doesn't look like a fish out of water. He looks for action. He will lock in. And depending on the type of leverage he has, he may maintain, may not. Guys tend to get off of his blocks a lot. That's something else I noticed from a tackle position. That's never good. Very long arms with solid initial punch. That's different from that's functional strength, but that's different from overall power. I think he lacks overall power. Now, he does have long arms, and he does have a solid initial punch. Dropping back out of his set. Struggles with grip strength and locking in. That goes back to what I was initially talking about with him. He struggles. If you look at Jonah, we just spoke about, Jonah has no issue with locking in inside the pads or even outside the pads and getting the job done. He does. All of that points to a lack of grip strength, lack of hand strength with him. Needs to improve upper body strength. That also goes along with that. Inconsistent anchor.
Yeah.
He's susceptible to power rushes. All of those final three things all tie in to why I think he has the issues he has with power rushers. Now, can those things be taught? They can. But he seems to have some, and these guys are relatively the same size, same height and weight. We
Yeah.
talked about Kelvin Banks Jr. in the last video. Some of the issues Kelvin Banks has. I think these guys have very similar builds, arm length, height, weight is relatively around the same, and they seem to have the same type of struggles to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good analysis. Yeah, because and this is the guy I gave you out of the four we doing tonight. I think he's the most raw out of the bunch. Walt, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's accurate to say. I just think he's gonna have to be. He's got to have to learn a little bit more technique. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes just using arms. This is what I mean. I think that I see a lot of holding penalties, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you're getting beat and you're trying to make up for it with arm, trying to use your arms and not so much. You got to have the right placement. And we know,
He was penalized a lot too, that you mentioned that.
yeah, and when you have a guy that's, big as he is, then yeah, sometimes, he may use his hands and they might be like, in the wrong spot. So therefore, you're going to get called more times than not. You know what I'm saying? I do think this guy, he's huge, man, and I like the size. I like the power. He just got to learn how to use it. You know what I'm saying? I just think that out of all of obviously this kid's a prospect. I mean a project. He's going to get drafted. But compared to Chase Lund and our last guy we going to profile tonight, I think he's not as polished enough. He was. Listen, I mean, I'm not gonna knock him down because I mean he does do some great things out there. I think he will mix it up with anybody, and playing against talent in the Big Ten. Listen, he played up against some good defensive ends, you know what I'm saying, this year in the Big Ten. So I mean that does account for something. You know what I mean? The amount of competition, his level, obviously played at a high level. He playing with Oregon, number one team in the country most of the season all year. So yeah, I like the size. I like that he can command, his stance, just I mean, even now he's got good position. You know what I'm saying? He looks like a guy that's ready for contact. But I think, if you use some moves on him or you can maybe get him and bait him into, going one way and you torque another way, you could get him like that and get him to give you a holding penalty or something like that. So I like Josh Conerly. I do. It's just out of the four we're talking about tonight, I think he's number 4. You know what I'm saying? He a mid-round pick. I mean, that's what I see. I think he on the draft buzz. I think he's like rated number 7. I think out of all the offensive linemen right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He would have to play the right side. I mean, again, just like Charles Lyle, I think 6'4", 315 requires him to play on the outside, right? I mean, is that?
Well, I mean, he and Kelvin Banks Jr. both been left tackles the whole time, so it's worked. It just is a question of, is it going to work at the next level, with him? And, they worked him out at guard a little bit. Didn't look too good at guard because he lacks that initial power. They tried to work him out at guard a couple days ago, and he got moved around. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
And, you go back, you look at even against Ohio State for that matter. And Ohio State has what? 5 defensive linemen getting drafted this year, probably. He looked kind of overwhelmed. And,
Yeah.
when it comes to offensive tackle, I'm real big on competition, man. I'm
Yeah.
real big on the competition, the edge rushers that you face. Did you face a variety of them? Did you face the 6'6", 270s all the way down to the 6'3", 240s? Like,
Yeah.
how do you handle all of those? Because Sunday in, Sunday out at the next level, you're going to face all types of edge rushers. You're
Yeah.
going to see the Myles Garrett. Then you may turn around and you may see a Brian Burns, who's a different type of edge rusher. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You have to have a whole lot of different tools
Yeah.
in your bag. And when it comes to him, is it coaching? I don't know. Is it limited? Is it like physical limitations with him? I don't know. But like I said, the lack of anchor, the lack of upper body strength overall, which goes to the functional strength with him, the lack of leverage that he plays with consistently. He's an elite enough athlete, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, to play left or right tackle. I think he's a better athlete overall than Kelvin Banks Jr. But is the lack of power going to give you a problem? Because you have to have an even amount of both almost overall. You can't be too far left, too far right at the
Yeah.
next level playing left tackle, especially left tackle, either tackle position, but especially left tackle. Like, you can be as technically sound as you want to be, hand placement, getting to your sets quick, don't drop too low. Don't drop too soon out of your sets. You can do all those things well, but if you're not strong enough, these defensive ends and these defensive tackles, they will run straight down the middle of you
Yeah.
if you're not powerful enough. They don't want to do that, and you shouldn't technically be able to get away with that at the next level. But if you allow these defensive ends to run straight down the middle of your chest, they will. So he's not a guy that I don't want to make it sound like I'm just completely down on him. I'm not. I
Yeah.
think he's a good enough athlete. I just think that he's a guy that maybe got overblown a little bit heading into this season. And then, as usual, as the college football season starts to unfold, other names start to raise up. You
Yeah.
start noticing other prospects. Okay, this guy's a little better at this. This guy's a little better at that. This guy has a better combination of size and skill. Like, you go through all these different things. I still think he's a first round pick. I believe he's athletic enough. Unless things go really bad for him over the
Mm-hmm.
next 6 weeks,
Yeah.
but I still think out of the four that we're talking about tonight overall, I think he's probably third. No, actually, no, let me take that back. I think he's fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's some stiff competition, man.
Yeah,
That's a
man.
real stiff competition because the
He's,
dude we about to talk about next,
yeah. I
like,
think.
this dude helped himself a lot
Yeah. I think he number.
over the last couple of days.
Yeah. I think you picked Greg Zabel, man. You picked him and Chase Lundt tonight, and I think both of your guys are better than mine. You know what I'm saying? This guy's number 2 out of the list tonight. I think it's Lundt, Zabel, Savaiinaea, and then John Conerly. You know what I'm saying? This guy, he does everything good, man. This is what I like. He is multiple times this year where he just continued to go past the whistle, and that's the part I like about the Senior Bowl too. The individual matchups, and you go beyond the whistle. Man, he's still pushing, driving the guy backwards. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Just make
all them North Dakota State boys.
man.
Remember, Cody Mock was
Cody
like that
Mock,
same thing.
got drafted last year by the Tampa Bay Bucks. And I think they're becoming to be, known for, a nice. If you get you a nice lineman, just like UConn, like you said, I think North Dakota State is pumping them out too, man. At that position. So, yeah, I like him a lot, man. I like his size. What is 6'6", 305. He's not as heavy as the other guys, but constantly ready to mix it up, man. Great in the I wrote down he had a hell of a mean streak. Seals the edge nicely. This guy's a left tackle, in my opinion, man. Out of the 4 guys, well, I think Lundt could be 2, but even though he didn't do it, but I think that you could put Greg Zabel and he could be a left tackle, man, in the NFL. I think he's got the body type. I think he's got enough. You got to have instincts, and it seems like they're playing the next level, and he has it, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just ironic, interesting that you would pick him, because I think that he could be the best one out of the bunch, man. You know what I'm saying? Just because of what he already had. I think Chase Lundt is more technically sound than him, but Zabel not that far behind, man. You know what I'm saying? Great in the run game. And I liked about all of these guys, well, especially Zabel and Lundt, is they were pulling like crazy, man, helping out with the run game down the field, couple yards down the field, helping out, getting the extra leverage for a block, or just not afraid to, just be overpowering when you have to be, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, look at that versatility, all 5 positions. He is a prototype, left tackle, right tackle in the NFL, man. I think he can play left tackle, So I don't know if the leverage issues don't worry me, because I think that he's a guy that can play. I think he was just born to be a tackle, man, a left tackle or right tackle in the NFL. I think more left tackle. I'm gonna put it out there for him. You know what I'm saying? Four sacks, 6 quarterback hits. The level. I do think the level of competition does hurt some players. You know what I'm saying? Like you may not go against the best defensive end in the SEC every Saturday. You know what I'm saying? And maybe, you playing Cincinnati, and I mean, not saying it, I'm just making it up. Just say if you play in Cincinnati or, Pitt, or you're not playing like the high-powered, pro type NFL, defenders in college football. But so I think that part of it may hurt them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just because I do think you got to play up against top talent, and maybe that might be with him, is people may not trust him enough. But I think the individual workouts is really going to
Definitely.
just decide where he's going to, like, how he's going to get drafted. Because like you said, we've seen guys that's had all the right tools, and then the combine come, they and people don't put stock in it. I do. I mean, you can say, well, a guy running around with shorts on, running around some cones, how can you even tell is this guy going to be any good or not? But I just think athletically, he's got to show some how he runs, his versatility. So I think that's going to play a part too for Gray Zabel. But before I let you take it away, I like this kid, man. I really do. PFF overall grade is 90. That's pretty good for a guy at his caliber, man, senior. And then too, when you stay in school, people automatically think, if you stay 4 years in college, that maybe you may not be as good. You know what I'm saying? We see a lot of 3-year, players that are really good that forego their senior season and go out. But, sometimes I think being a senior has an advantages because you're a little bit more mature. You know what I'm saying? So I think NFL executives going to look at that too, him staying that extra year. So.
Yeah, I think he's one of the more polished offensive line prospects we've seen come out in a long time. A guy that has his prototypical height, size, and everything, athleticism combined. Putting that with the fact that he's like an ultimate technician. In order for you to succeed at all 5 offensive line positions, you have to be a technician. You can't vary off of it. You're talking about all of that combined with the functional strength, the play strength, the heavy-handedness at the point of attack, his ability to consistently get vertical movement to the second level. It's different that you find a tackle. You can always find guards that can play center. You can find tackles that can play guard, a left tackle that might can help you out in a pinch at right tackle. He's an offensive lineman. I feel confident in saying that I would draft him at left tackle and be comfortable with it. I could draft him at right tackle and be comfortable with it. If you drafted him and said you want him to play center or right guard or left guard, I wouldn't bat an eye at it. I think he's that good of a player, at least, coming out right now, man. You just don't see it happen like that often. 2024 Senior Bowl best offensive lineman. They didn't grant him that. I'm granting him that. That's my opinion for what I've seen so far in practice. I don't really care about the game. To me, the Senior Bowl game doesn't matter. It's about these one-on-one matchups throughout the week. It's about the interviews these players have with these coaches. the amount of NFL level coaching that they're going to get for the entire week, the relationships they're going to build with these coaches moving
Yeah.
down the stretch. Like I said, prototypical size, height, build, 1,044 career pass block snaps. He only surrendered 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits in 3 years. They're a little over 3 years of production. Could improve pad level consistency. That's something that goes along with the 6'6", the long, the 6'7", the long, the 6'8", the long. And then with him, even though he does have like the prototypical height, build, and everything size, he does have a narrow waist, not waist, but he does have a narrow base. Arm length isn't the greatest, and therefore sometimes he does have leverage issues. So if you tie those three things together, not really having the thickest base out there, the heaviest base, the drop anchor, the best consistently, not having the longest arms, those two things right there can lead to leverage issues. But the thing about him is he's so elite at other
Mm-hmm.
things that he can
Yeah, make up
compensate
the
for that.
difference. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't have to necessarily play with the most consistent base because he's so damn powerful.
Yeah.
And the hand placement is so there all the time consistently that it bails him out of some of those things. But even if you look at the foot speed, him getting into his sets, like I think Ozzie Trapullo that we talked about from Boston College
Yeah.
last show, and then Chase Lundt. I think those three guys right there, at least of the guys that we talked about so far, to me, those three tackles have the best ability to get into their sets the
Yeah.
quickest. Not saying that they're the best overall, but to me, those three guys right there. And then right along with Charles Grant or William and Mary, who we're going to probably talk about the next show.
Yeah.
But so I mean, we're in agreement. I think Gray Zabel, he's a guy that this team, I'm sure Detroit Lions, they will obviously be eyeing. Going to keep a strong eye on him over the next
Yeah.
few weeks. And somebody who I think his name too hot right now. With every passing day, I'm starting to doubt that he'll be available at number 28.
Who was that?
I'm not sure he's going to even be available in the 20s. I mean, like the late 20s, because if you look at people have kind of like trashed the tackle play in the league the last couple years. I don't think the tackle play has been as bad as the interior offensive line play has been the last couple years. Teams are starting to value guards a whole lot more. Remember, there was a point in time where they preached all those unwritten football rules of you don't draft the tight end in the first round, you don't draft the running back in the first round, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't draft the safety in the first round. Teams now want the best available player that they can get. And they respect all the positions. It's a point in time in the league where you have to respect the position and abandon so many of these old fogey thoughts of what football is supposed to
Yeah.
be. Why people don't understand the importance of guard play, I'll never get. How the hell is it? Like, I understand the whole left tackle thing and protecting the backside of the quarterback. Who gives a damn about the backside of the quarterback if his center is sitting in his lap as soon as he hikes the ball?
Yeah.
None of that
Right.
even matters. Right. And like I tell people consistently, you may not view Gray Zabel as a left tackle. And for people who say, well, he's not a left tackle, so he's not a high priority to me. Would you rather have an average left tackle and draft him in the top 10? Or would you have an elite offensive lineman and draft him in the top
Yeah.
20?
Elite. Yep.
I would much rather have I would
Gotcha.
much rather have the high quality guy. Remember when Quentin Nelson
Mm-hmm.
came out? People thought Quentin Nelson was good enough, was athletic enough, which he was, to play left tackle. And I believe he could have. He could have played right tackle. Ultimately, he became a Pro Bowl, all-pro guard. I'm not saying he's Quentin Nelson's level. We'll eventually get around to that. But I do think he's a very, very high-level player, and he's going to be highly coveted come April.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I agree. Like this kid, man. All 4 of the guys tonight. Like I said, if I had to rate them, Conerly at 4, then I would have Savaiinaea 3, and then I would go Gray Zabel, Charles Lundt. You know what I'm saying? 4 good prospects, man. You know what I'm saying? Zabel technically sound, I think, as well as Charles Lundt, Chase Lundt. So the prospects is through the roof, man. I think that this year. Do you think that this class better off in offensive line than last year?
Uh, Last year we was talking about Talise Fawaga, J.C. Latham of Alabama. Who else was it? Kingsley, the kid from BYU.
Yup, and then the
Uh,
one
who else
he went to
was
the
it?
Chiefs, right? Chiefs took him. Yup,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it was
There was
Jackson Powers
another one.
Johnson, obviously, right? Zach
Yeah, the
Frazier
center.
from West
Yeah.
Virginia. So yeah, maybe last year was better. Maybe last year I think it was more sure thing.
Well,
Yeah,
Tyler
Tyler
Guyton
Guyton
of Dallas.
from Oklahoma, right? Yep, I remember him. So yeah, you're right. I mean, and then it was what's the kid from Michigan? I think he got drafted. Bredeston. Did he get drafted? I think by the Giants. I think what was the kid from USC Walt last year?
Didn't Zenner get drafted too?
Zenter. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
want to say, man, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Zenter went to the Browns. I
Yeah, he
think,
did.
and then
It has to be because I was thinking the same exact name when you said
okay,
it.
and then what's the kid? Walt went to USC. I didn't get a report. I remember he was hurt. He had a lot of injuries.
Oh, Baltimore
Uh,
drafted him.
what's the guy for USC? Man, you was
Oh,
high on him, and he good prop. But remember, he just could. He was hurt.
he got hurt at the
Yeah,
combine. Matter of
yo,
fact.
I can't think of
Yeah,
his
I know
name on
you're talking
top of
about.
my head, man. Losing me tonight. Yeah, but so yeah, I think last year was some better prospects. I think maybe this may be a better defensive draft. When we get into it, but still, I mean, like you said, I think picking at 28. I mean, man, I would rather have depending on defense who's available. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I don't want to get into it too much right now, but I'm really seeing some good thing about this Mike Green kid. I know nothing about him from Marshall. You know what I'm saying? I really got to get into him. I think everybody's raving about him at the Senior Bowl this whole week. So that might be a guy. If he's there, he may not even be there at 28. You know what I'm saying? It's a premium on pass rushers, man, and that's the only thing I think the Lions got to make a decision. If you want to get more athletic, I think you're going to have to take a guy high, man. You know what I'm saying? On the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Those athletic guys, I don't want to say they're unicorns, but the top 3 or 4 guys, we seen it happen last year. Well, I remember it was a run on them offensive tackles, man. And it's like when the top 5 guys go, they gone. You know what I'm saying? And it's a big drop off after that to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Brad Holmes does this year. Because I think he's got a really, like you said it multiple times. So far since the season, and he's got to nail this draft, man. He does. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think. I don't want any. I don't want a project, man. That's all. That's the only thing that really. You
We
know what I'm
already
saying?
got
We
that.
got that with Manu already. We got that, man. We took Project Mark. We got guys that's you swung and hopefully it amounts to something here in the next year or two. But yeah, I want a sure thing. I want a sure guy, a sure thing, that you can plug and play. I mean, I guess I may be asking for too much, but I want a plug and play guy. Period. Guy you can coach him. Get him in the camp, in training camp. Start, with preseason. Get him in. You know what I'm saying, and just work his way into the lineup. That's how you do it.
Some healthy
Yeah.
competition too.
So yeah. So we can tell the people, man, we got mock drafts coming up, around after the combine. I think those are fun to do, to kind of see where we are at, you know what I'm saying? Because remember last year we was drafting a little bit sooner, and drafting at 28, it's going to be some good players at 28, man. You know what I'm saying? Remember we always say you can trade down, trade back, you know what I'm saying? And trade 7 spots back to get an extra third round because I don't think we have a third round pick this year. You know what I'm saying?
We got the
Oh yeah, that's right.
compensatory.
From Aaron Glenn. Shout out to Aaron Glenn for the pick. We
Yeah.
like that. So yeah. So if you want to be able to just maneuver the board, we know Brad Holmes it maneuvers the board big time. You know what I'm saying? We in the beginning stages process, but it's gonna be interesting to see where we go. Like what player we always look at like who we passed up to get this guy and who we went this position heavy and we kind of let the defensive line lacked a little bit and didn't get the talent that we need, the top end talent. So I think that, man, this year showed more than anything how important the draft is. You know what I'm saying? And Brad Holmes, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Brad Holmes did do a good job because, I mean, we got to the point of where, man, when Meek Robertson got hurt, it was like, man, it was like, dude, we was down to like Kendall Vildor and even Khalil Dorsey was hurt. You know what I'm saying? A guy who, we put Norris out there. So
It ain't funny, but you mentioned that brought me back to the conversation we had the last
yeah,
show about how the team was kind of running on
yeah,
fumes down the stretch. They was running out of gas, and then once the Meek Robertson injury happened, that was like one of the belts
yeah.
broke. Like, it's over. No, we still good. We gonna make it to
Right,
the Super Bowl with no
right.
belt,
With no
no
breaks.
breaks,
Right. We ain't had no deep D linemen.
a quarter tank
It
of
just, I
gas.
think that showed because that talent that we need, we didn't have it. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. We honest with ourselves. We didn't have a talent, man, on the defensive line. I think that, you could say like Aiden Hutchinson's one guy. You know what I'm saying? One person. One player. He
Aleem is
there. He
good
there.
too.
Yeah, Lee McNeil,
Yeah,
of course. And then DJ Reader to an extent. I mean, actually, he played pretty well given
yeah.
the fact his history of being hurt, a lot. But he gutted it out, man, and he played well. So I do think the defensive line, offensive line is going to be key, man. You have to bolster those spots. So
Definitely, definitely. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and let these people go. Thank you once again. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe. And don't forget to share this content if you love it as much as I know y'all love it. We will be back Saturday morning. Join us as we will be previewing the Senior Bowl, and we will be joined by Senior Bowl scout Jeff Barnes. Till next time, one pride.